Picture this. It's the end of the month. You're sitting at your kitchen table, phone in one hand, maybe a cup of coffee in the other, and you're staring at your credit card statement. And the number you're looking at, it's not catastrophic. It's not like bankruptcy level scary. It's just there, sitting there. Like it's always been there. Like it's always going to be there. Maybe it's $4,000. Maybe it's $7,000. Maybe it's $12,000. And here's the thing, you're not even sure how it got that high because you didn't buy a boat. You didn't take some crazy vacation. You just lived. Groceries, gas, a car repair in October that cost way more than expected, a couple of dinners out, that gym membership you keep meaning to cancel. And you look at the minimum payment. Let's say it's $185. And you think, okay, I can handle that. And you pay it. And next month, the balance barely moved. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you know something's wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on what. So you close the app, you move on, and the debt just sits there. If that sounds like you, even a little bit, this video is going to change how you see that number forever. Because what's happening to you is not an accident, and it is not your fault in the way you think it is. Hi, my name is Ashley, and I spend way too much time thinking about why credit cards are one of the most perfectly engineered financial traps ever designed by human beings. And I mean that literally. This is not hyperbole. These things were designed by some of the smartest behavioral economists, psychologists, and data scientists on the planet to do exactly one thing: get you to spend more money than you have, keep a balance you can't quite pay off, and generate billions of dollars for the bank in the process. Today we are going deep on this. We're going to talk about the math, the actual, terrifying math of what credit card debt costs you, the psychology, why your brain is working against you every time you swipe, and how banks have specifically engineered these products to keep you in debt, because that's where they make their money. Get comfortable, because by the end of this video, you are going to look at your credit card completely differently. And you're going to have a real plan to actually deal with it. Let's get into it. As of the end of 2020, 5 Americans are collectively carrying $1.277 trillion in credit card debt. That is more than the entire GDP of most countries on Earth, more than the annual budget of the U.S. military. And we don't talk about it nearly enough. The average American with credit card debt is carrying between $6,500 and $7,900. For households, it's closer to $9,000 to $11,500. Nearly half of all American credit card holders, 47%, carry a balance every single month. More than 2 in 5 say they don't have a clear plan to pay it off. That's not a debt problem. That's a crisis. And here's what makes this a silent killer. Unlike a car loan or a mortgage, credit card debt doesn't feel urgent. You pay the minimum, nothing catastrophic happens, and you move on. But this debt is costing you in ways most people never calculate. Now, you might be thinking lots of people have debt. It's just part of life. I hear that. But by the end of this video, you'll see that it's just part of life is exactly the story banks need you to believe. Okay, let's talk math. This is where it gets really interesting. And by interesting, I mean genuinely jaw-dropping. The average credit card interest rate right now, as of early 2026, is sitting around 21 to 24% APR. That is not a normal interest rate. Your mortgage is probably between 6 and 8%. A car loan might be 7 to 10%. Student loans are somewhere in the 4 to 8% range. Credit card interest at 22% is in a different universe. Let me show you the math on a real example. Let's say you have a $6,500 balance, which is basically the national average, on a card with a 22% APR. Your minimum payment is roughly 2% of your balance, which works out to about $130 per month. Here's the question most people never ask: if you just pay the minimum every month and never add another dollar to the balance, how long does it take to pay it off? The answer is, are you ready for this? Almost 29 years. And in that time, you will pay approximately $10,800 in interest alone. On a $6,500 balance, you will pay almost double the original amount, just in interest. And it will take you nearly 3 decades. Let me put that into perspective. If you put that same $130 a month into an index fund, earning 7% annually, over 29 years you'd have roughly $150,000. So the true cost of that credit card balance isn't $6,500. The true cost, when you account for what that money could have been doing for your future, is potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost wealth. Now let's look at something even scarier. Let's say you have $11,500 in credit card debt, the household average. At that same 22% rate, making minimum payments, you'd be looking at nearly 22 years to pay it off, and you'd rack up nearly $18,500 in interest charges. So you borrowed $11,500 and end up paying back almost $30,000. Doesn't that feel insane? Because it should. Here's what most people don't realize. The minimum payment is specifically designed to keep you in debt as long as possible. Banks didn't set it at 2% because that's a reasonable payoff timeline. They set it at 2% because at that rate, you will be paying them interest for decades. The minimum payment is not a payoff strategy. It is a debt preservation strategy. For the bank, when you carry a balance, interest is calculated daily. On a $6,500 balance at 22% APR, you're accruing roughly $3.90 every single day. That's $117 a month in interest before you've bought anything new. So when you make that $130 minimum payment, only $13 is actually reducing your debt. The other $117 is going straight to the bank as profit. You're running on a treadmill, and if you add any new purchases, and 73% of people with credit card debt are using their cards for everyday necessities, the balance creeps up. Suddenly you've been carrying this debt for 3 years and the balance is somehow higher than when you started. This is not a personal failure. This is mathematics working against you, combined with a system that was deliberately designed to create exactly this outcome. Okay. This is where we pull back the curtain. Banks know, down to a decimal point, what percentage of their customers will carry a balance. Every single feature of your credit card, the rewards, the minimum payment structure, the limit increases, the app design, is engineered around that knowledge. Here's the thing about paying with cash. It hurts. Literally, neurologically, it activates the same parts of your brain associated with physical pain. Behavioral economists call this the pain of paying. Credit cards are specifically designed to eliminate that pain. MIT professor Drazen Prilek ran a silent auction for sold-out Celtics tickets. Half the bidders paid cash, half paid by credit card. The result, credit card buyers bid more than twice as much for the exact same tickets. The psychological cost of spending on a credit card felt like only 50 cents on the dollar compared to cash. Studies suggest the average credit card transaction is $57 compared to $22 for cash. Same person, same store, totally different spending behavior. This is by design. Oh, the rewards. This is my favorite one to talk about. You've been sold the idea that your credit card rewards are a gift from your bank. No. 4 out of 5 card holders make at least some effort to earn rewards. And when people are chasing rewards, they spend more. Because in their mind, they're not spending, they're earning. The brain releases dopamine. It feels like a game you're winning. But here's the math. A typical cashback card gives you 1.5 to 2% back on purchases. Your interest rate when you carry a balance, 22%. They are making a 10 to 1 return on the deal. Here's what most people don't realize: rewards programs are largely funded by the people who don't pay their balance every month. The interest those people pay subsidizes the points and miles that go to people who use the card responsibly. The rewards aren't free. Someone is paying for them. And if you're carrying a balance, that someone is you. The minimum payment is framed as the floor, the least you have to do. But it functions psychologically as an anchor. Once you see $185 minimum payment on your statement, your brain settles around that number. It feels like you're handling it. What the bank isn't telling you is that $185 at 22% APR on a $7,000 balance means you're paying off about $57 in principal. The other $128 is pure interest income for the bank. And then there are limit increases. You've been a responsible customer for a year, and you get a notification. Your credit limit has been increased from $5,000 to $8,500. It feels like a reward. But banks increase your limit because data tells them that most people will spend up to their new limit. The limit increase isn't a reward for your good behavior. It's a bet that you'll eventually use it. Let's talk about why this works so well. It's about the fundamental way human brains are wired. Behavioral economists call it payment decoupling, the separation of buying from paying. When you swipe today and the bill comes in 30 days, your brain doesn't process that as the same transaction. The pleasure of buying is immediate. The pain of paying is deferred. Credit cards exploit this completely. Humans also do. Mental accounting. We put money into different mental buckets. Points and rewards feel free, but that points bucket was built by real spending with real interest costs attached. The money was never free. Credit card debt also grows because of stress. When we're anxious or depleted, spending provides short-term dopamine release. This creates a devastating feedback loop. Debt creates stress. Stress triggers spending. Spending creates more debt. It's not a character flaw. It's a neurological cycle, and the most powerful force working against you. 49% of Americans say carrying credit card debt is a normal part of financial life. When something feels normal, we stop fighting it. The most profitable thing banks ever did was convince an entire generation that owing them money was just part of adult life. 2. The burden of credit card interest falls almost entirely on working and middle-class Americans. The very wealthy pay their cards off in full. They collect the rewards and pay zero interest. Working people are paying billions in interest to fund rewards programs that benefit wealthy cardholders. It is a regressive wealth transfer mechanism. Generation X is particularly hard hit. The average credit card balance for people ages 45 to 60 has reached $9,600, a $2,600 increase in just 3 years. The damage goes beyond interest charges. Every dollar going to credit card interest is a dollar not going to investments. Bankrate's 2020 Five Money and Mental Health Survey found that 43% of Americans cite money as a negative factor in their mental health. The top single factor. Credit card debt creates constant background anxiety affecting sleep, relationships, and decision-making. 64% of credit card debtors have delayed major financial decisions because of their debt. Putting off homes, investing, having kids, getting married. This is why I call it the silent killer of the American dream. Not killing it all at once, just slowly, quietly making it harder to get there, one minimum payment at a time. 2. Alright, enough doom. Let's talk strategy. There are 2 main approaches to paying off debt. The debt avalanche: you pay the minimum on every card, then throw every extra dollar at the card with the highest interest rate first. Once that card is paid off, you roll that payment into the next highest rate card. This saves you the most money in interest over time. Real example: Card A has $4,000 at 26% APR. Card B has $2,500 at 22% APR. Card C has $1,200 at 18% APR. With $300 extra per month toward Card A, you pay it off in about 16 months. Total payoff time for all 3 approximately 3 years. Total interest paid roughly $2,400. Paying only minimums. Decades of debt and over $8,000 in interest. The debt snowball: instead of the highest rate first, you tackle the lowest balance first. Get early wins. Build momentum. Research supports this for people who feel overwhelmed. The psychological benefit of closing out an account can be powerful enough to keep you going when the avalanche method would cause you to quit. The best method is the one you'll actually stick with. Beyond repayment method, there are specific moves that can accelerate your payoff. If you have good credit, generally 670 or above, apply for a balance transfer card offering 0% APR for 12 to 21 months. On a $6,000 balance at 22%, you're paying $110 a month in interest. Move it to a 0% card and every dollar you pay reduces actual debt. Just pay off the full balance before the promotional period ends. You can also call your credit card company and simply ask for a lower interest rate. A significant percentage of people who ask get one, especially with decent payment history. This takes 15 minutes and could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Instead of 1 monthly payment, make 2 biweekly half payments. 26 half payments equals 13 full payments per year. That extra payment goes entirely to principal. Over a large balance, this can shave months off your payoff timeline with zero change to your budget. 2. Here's the thing. Credit cards are not inherently evil. The people who truly win at credit cards never carry a balance. They use the rewards and travel benefits, then pay in full every month before interest accrues. If you can genuinely do that, credit cards offer real value. But if you carry a balance, the rewards are an illusion. The cashback is being swallowed by interest charges. Know which category you're in and be honest about it. The rich are allergic to consumer debt. They don't pay interest to banks. They earn it. Every dollar you save in interest is a dollar you can invest. Every month you shorten your payoff timeline is a month your money starts working for you instead of for the bank. This isn't about deprivation, it's about direction. 2. So, here's where we are. Americans are carrying $1.277 trillion in credit card debt. Nearly half of all cardholders carry a balance. The average household owes between $9,000 and $11,500. And making minimum payments, they'll be paying that debt for decades, paying back nearly double what they borrowed in interest alone. Banks designed every element of the credit card to maximize the chance that you carry a balance and pay them interest. This is not paranoia. This is their business model. But now you know. And knowing changes everything. So here's what I want you to do this week. Step 1, pull up every credit card statement you have and write down the balance, the interest rate, and the minimum payment for each one. Most people avoid looking. Looking is the first act of taking control. Step 2, use a free online credit card payoff calculator. Punch in your numbers. See the actual payoff date and total interest. Let that number land. Step 3, identify one thing you can do this week. Call to ask for a rate reduction. Set up an extra $50 payment. Apply for a balance transfer card. One thing, one action. Start there. The debt didn't build up overnight, and it won't disappear overnight. But every extra dollar you throw at it is a dollar that stops earning the bank money and starts building your future instead. You got this. And if this video helped you see your financial situation differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because this stuff doesn't get taught in school. And the banks are counting on us not talking about it. I'll see you in the next one.